it's just a bit cold in the UK today. So that's that. Over the last few weeks, what have we seen? Well, quite a lot of all sorts of stuff really, but the bits that caught my eye was the bit that K-Rex just done with his little heat mats, and also Robert Murray Smith with his heat mats. Now, it's nothing new from RMS, we know that, because he's done it all before. And I actually tried some of the stuff that he did, and yeah, it all worked. He showed us radiators on the wall, little heat pads with his inks, and what else was it? Oh, a tile, which could be a floor tile, a heated floor tile. All brilliant stuff, obviously. Now, way back then, I did a piece on, I did my own heat mat, not with inks. I did try the inks and they all worked, that's fine. But I tried my all-time favourite, carbon fibre weave. And I produced a heat mat with that, and I did a little bit in a video ages ago about it. So I thought, with the current climate, shall we say, I'd revive it and just show you a bit on the carbon fibre weave. And also, now of course, we've got this this other carbon felt, haven't we? You know, I haven't tried that yet, but I'm gonna. So that's those two. Now, the reason I looked at carbon fibre weave was, if you take regular heat mats that have been in existence for a long time, what you get is two copper strips. You get a woven cloth that's made to be conductive. How they do that, I don't know. Whether they've painted something on it as an ink, I don't really know. I've never delved into it and I'm not that interested. But that's a standard heat mat for a reptile enclosure or a vivarium. They're also used for other things as well. Now this is plugged in. And my 240 volt watt meter says 12.3 watts, so that's exactly what this thing is drawing from the mains off the grid. So that's that then, and it's, yeah, it's warm, you know, it's not hot, it's warm. And they then, what they do, the copper strips, they stitch to this woven cloth, this black cloth there, both sides obviously, and they stitch it twice, you know, to get the conductivity between the copper and the cloth. And that's what that was my principle with going with carbon fibre weave. I did try it with the the copper strips stuck. You know, you peel the back off and stick it, and then I put some ink on the edge. You know, a couple of layers of ink, conductive ink, and that worked. But I don't think it's the way forward. Really, you need this stitching, and it's a bit more complex and a bit more involved. But I just wanted to show you the carbon fibre weave. Basically, show it again in this video. So that's what I'm going to do. And hopefully that felt. I've never tried it, but I thought while I was doing this video, let's have a little look at it and see what it does. So I'm going to move that camera over here onto my other camera stand and show you this carbon fibre weave. So there it is then. That is my carbon fibre weave. It's A4 size. It's got some tape on the edges there, and all I've done basically is I've got two copper strips there which I've reversed, so I haven't taken the backing off, and I've used two of these A4 binder slider things that you can, you know, where you put loads of A4 sheets together and you want to hold them together, so it's just slid down the edge, and I'm hoping this works because I haven't tried it. I haven't tried it, but I've got two cables there from the power supply, positive and a negative, held on by these two clamps. So what I'm going to do firstly is there it is. We'll look at the temperature on the mat, and it's 17.7. Surrounding temperature 17.4. Okay, so that's that bit. I'll just do that again just to show I haven't even tried this yet. 17.5. So what I'm going to do now is switch the power supply on. Now the main thing with this stuff is I've got from my DC power supply with these cables 1.5 volts. I've got it set at 1.5 at the moment. So we're drawing, well, I'll actually show you. Not the one on the left, the one on the right, 1.5 volts, 2.94 amps, look. So, you know, it's drawing hefty current, but what I'm going to do is just, I'll leave that at 1.5 volts and we'll see what happens. I'll give it, I don't know, just give it a few minutes. I'm not expecting a lot to happen, to be honest, at 1.5 volts, because I think what we're actually going to need is 2.5 volts to make anything happen. So, you know, I'll just leave it for a minute, like I say. Now at that, we should be drawing about 4.5 watts at 1.5 volts, because basically it's 1.5 times 2.96 amps to get your wattage. So if I just turn that up, well, actually, before I turn that up, if I do that, we're still on the same temperature. There's no change at all. So what I'm going to do is turn the volts up. Now, according to that, it's 2 volts, and we've got 4 amps actually. So I'm just going to leave that for a second or two and see if we get any improvement. Yeah, and I can actually feel that getting warm. Definitely getting warm. 21. Now, how uniform this is going to be, I don't know, because if I do the 4 corners, it's still sort of relatively 17 or 18 degrees. So we're on about 8 watts at the moment, 2 volts, 4 amps, 2 times 4, 8. So that's about 8 watts, so I'll turn it up a bit. Now, I did say that you need about 2.5 volts, and I'm doing a lot of this from memory, to be honest. So I'll just give that a minute or two. I'll pause the video and I'll come back. I mean, it's warm to the touch. The thing I did forget was this. That power supply there is now 2.6 volts, as you can see, 5.21 amps, and that red light there says, oh, I am in current limit. So just when you thought you were getting something right. And that's about, I don't know, let's have a look. Wattage wise, it's about 13.5 watts, I guess. So the other power supply I did use for this was a 10 amp power supply. What I'm going to have to do is go and dig out my larger power supply, which I don't use anymore. I mean, it's a 10 amp power supply, but I don't need current like that with these batteries and things, but there you go. Okay, I've dug this larger power supply out, which is a maximum of 10 amps. It was moved because I had to repair it. So we're drawing 7.5 amps there, and it is slowly going up according to that. 3.5, 3.6 volts. Now, temperature wise, well, the edges are all kind of sitting around 20 degrees. According to that, so is the middle. Okay, so as you can see, that's my 10 amp power supply. What I've done is I've wound it up to 9.7 amps there at 4.6 volts, just to see what we can sort of do. Let's see. Looking at my calculator. So if we said 9.7 times 4.6, we get, if you can see that, I don't know if you can, 44.62 watts. Haven't tried the temperature, so let's try that now. It did say 24, but no, it's settled on 22. So surrounding areas, or around the edge I should say, we're hovering around sort of 21, 22 degrees. But then again, I've only just wound this up, so you know, I don't know what we're expecting. It is a really cold day today in the in the UK, and that other one that I showed you was actually plugged in for quite some time. So, although we didn't measure the temperature on that one, did we? But yeah, I mean, that is quite warm, nicely warm actually, you know. Yeah, so it works. Whether it's as good as or efficient as an ink-based system, I don't know. It was really just to show you that you can use this stuff and it does work. Although I've never used an A4 piece like this before, I made a strip which was the same as that stuff, you know, that Vivarium one, and it seemed that it's more effective like that. So, but there we go. Temperature again, 22.8 degrees. You can get this stuff extremely hot, but you'd obviously require a larger power supply with more wattage. So what I'll do, I'll just leave that for a few minutes and see what temperature it finally gets up to. So I will pause the video, check that out, and then we'll have a look at this felt, see if that works. I don't know, I've never tried it, so that'll be a new one. Right, what I've done is I've cut a piece of that off the top, because obviously I hadn't got enough power to do what I was trying to do, but I'm going to do that now. And as you can see, we've got 28 degrees. That's been on for about a minute, and it's warming up. The edge there is 29, and that edge, according to that, is 37. So yeah, definitely warming up now. So there you go, carbon fibre weave. It can be used. I'm just going to leave that on for a few minutes and come back and see what we're saying. So we're at 9.9 amps there, 5.3 volts. I was just thinking back to the last video I did. It was about 18 months ago, maybe a year ago, I don't know. It was a long time ago. I only used a small strip. I mean, obviously the smaller it is, you can get it quite hot. So that's really warm now. That's lovely. And obviously these strips aren't making particularly good contact, so if I press on the strips, that's gone up to 10 amps and into current limit. So there you go. I'll be back in a minute. So hooked up to the bigger power supply. I've took it up about as far as it wants to go. I've cut that down a little bit. Cut that piece off there, which is about a third, I would imagine. And we've got 38 degrees there, 36 in the centre,
38 along that edge as well, well 39. On this edge it's slightly higher, 40 degrees, so it's a nice, comfortable, warm plate made from carbon fibre weave. So what I'm going to do now is test a piece of this and see how we get on with that, which is that carbon felt. Okay, I've got this thing set up. It's cold at the moment, so I've only just set it up. There are no volts going on, no current whatsoever, apart from, well, that, whatever that is. I'm going to do, wow, okay, at 2 volts we've got 1.8 amps. Let's try 4 volts. Okay, 3.5 amps, and that's warm already. Blimey. Okay, 32 degrees already. So that's pretty fast acting, that stuff. Right, let's get the old calculator out. So 3.5 times 4. Well, according to that, we're drawing like 14 watts there. So let's have a little look. Let's leave it at 6 amps. Well, that does feel considerably warmer. 37 degrees. That bit there, according to that, is 46 degrees. And that bit is 45 degrees. 37. 38. And 49 right in the centre. So it would appear that this carbon felt has found a use at last. Because I don't think it's going to be in my batteries. I'm just going to leave that and see what happens, and I'll come back. Okay, 45 degrees, 54 in the centre there. That's just a few minutes later. So it's a shame that you can't buy this stuff cheaply, really. I mean, we're at almost, well, we're at 6 amps there, look. I don't quite know why the current's going up as I'm touching that, but maybe I'm cooling it down, I don't know. Or even moving the strips a little bit, don't know. But yeah, we found a use for that stuff. Over and out. Right, I've left that for a few minutes and we're up to, that's off now, 61 degrees in the centre, look. So that's pretty good, really. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with that stuff in this roll. So heat mats then, a lot of it about at the moment, and since filming all of this I noticed Robert's got a new one out, self-limiting one. That's brilliant, what an invention.
Maybe I could send a t-shirt to him and get some of that stuff painted on the inside and just hook myself up, because it's a bit chippers again today in the UK. So yeah, I just wanted to revisit, with all of the attention it's got at the moment with K-Rex as well. He's doing his own heat pads and touch sensors, and so is Robert, and it's all interesting stuff. It's not for me. I just wanted to revisit the the carbon fibre weave, because the results weren't that fantastic, were they really? There's a lot of current. I know it's a much lower voltage, but it seems that with the inks you can go higher voltage, less current. And in wattage terms it all equates and equals out, but of course if you've got a higher voltage and a small current, that's easier to produce, isn't it? You know, i.e. if you wanted to plug in a little mains adapter and come down to a 24 volt 2 amp supply, DC supply, then that's fairly easy. But I seem to have found a use for that carbon felt. Because it ain't going in any of my batteries, you know. It's just not for me. Like I've said before, I first saw this stuff in flow batteries, redox flow batteries, and maybe that's where it belongs. But it does work exceptionally well as a heat mat or a heat pad. I was amazed by it really, because it doesn't require as much current as the carbon fibre weave, for one, so that's a good one as a heat pad, you know, if you want to go and experiment. The only problem with this is it's quite expensive. I will say that much. It's fairly expensive compared to anything else, compared to an ink, you know, which costs you a couple of quid to make. I suppose that, looking at the size of the sheet that I got, you know, that's probably, I don't know, about £4 worth UK money, you know. So it's quite expensive, and like I say, with an ink, you can make up a batch of ink for a couple of quid, and you know, or let's say 3 quid, or let's say if you spent £4, you'd end up with a jar full of the stuff, you know, and you could, surface area wise, you'd get a lot more than that, you know. So that's what I'm saying. So that's it then. Another way out the way. You be good, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.